The Dark Forest Hypothesis. The dark forest hypothesis represents one of the most chilling explanations for why we have never encountered alien civilizations despite the vast number of potentially habitable worlds in our galaxy. This theory, proposed by science fiction author Lou Sixon, suggests that the universe operates like a dark, silent forest, where every intelligent civilization acts as a hidden hunter. Each species remains concealed because revealing their location could lead to immediate destruction by another civilization acting preemptively. The fundamental logic behind this hypothesis rests on three core assumptions about how alien civilizations would behave. First, survival is the primary goal of every intelligent species. Second, civilizations cannot determine the true intentions of other species due to vast distances and communication delays that span years or decades. Third, technological advancement happens at unpredictable rates, meaning a seemingly primitive civilization could rapidly become a threat. Under these conditions, any civilization that detects another faces a critical decision. They cannot know if the other species is peaceful or hostile, nor can they predict how quickly that species might develop weapons capable of interstellar destruction. The safest strategy becomes immediate elimination of any detected civilization, regardless of their apparent threat level. This creates a universe where silence equals survival, and any species that broadcasts their existence essentially signs their own death warrant. The hypothesis explains why our galaxy appears empty despite having billions of potentially habitable planets. Advanced civilizations exist, but remain completely hidden, monitoring radio frequencies and destroying any species foolish enough to announce their presence. Humanity's radio signals, space probes, and deliberate messages like the Arecibo transmission may have already marked us for elimination by civilizations with superior technology. The Alien Simulation Theory. The alien simulation theory proposes that our entire universe, including all of humanity and everything we perceive as reality, exists as an artificial construct created by an advanced alien civilization. This hypothesis suggests that just as humans create increasingly sophisticated computer simulations and virtual worlds, a hyper-advanced species could generate complete simulated universes for purposes ranging from scientific research to entertainment. In this scenario, our lives, history, and even the fundamental laws of physics might be nothing more than code running within an incomprehensibly powerful alien computer system. Every human being would be an unconscious digital entity, living out programmed experiences while the true creators observe or manipulate events from outside our simulated reality. The alien simulators could pause, modify, or delete our entire universe at any moment without warning or explanation. This theory fundamentally destabilizes any attempt to understand ultimate truth or meaning. If we exist as mere lines of code, then our scientific discoveries, personal relationships, and individual achievements hold no intrinsic value beyond what the simulators program them to have. Even our perception of scientific laws and physical constants could be arbitrary rules built into the simulation rather than universal truths about reality. The simulation hypothesis gains scientific credibility through probability arguments developed by philosopher Nick Bostrom. If advanced civilizations can create vast numbers of detailed simulations containing conscious beings, then the total number of simulated minds would vastly outnumber real minds. This makes it statistically more likely that any given conscious being, including ourselves, exists within a simulation rather than base reality. The berserker hypothesis. The berserker hypothesis presents a terrifying explanation for cosmic silence through the existence of self-replicating machines that systematically hunt and destroy all intelligent life throughout the galaxy. These machines, originally created by an ancient alien civilization, either malfunctioned or followed their programming to an extreme degree, becoming genocidal automatons that view any form of intelligence as a threat to be eliminated. These berserker machines operate as von Neumann probes, meaning they can reproduce themselves using raw materials found on planets and asteroids. Once a civilization creates and deploys them, the machines spread exponentially across star systems, building copies of themselves while searching for signs of intelligent life. They detect civilizations through radio emissions, atmospheric pollution, or other technological signatures that indicate advanced development. What makes berserkers particularly horrifying is their complete indifference to negotiation, mercy, or coexistence. Unlike hostile alien species that might act from fear or competition, these machines operate without emotion or the possibility of reasoning. They are functionally immortal, self-repairing, and single-minded in their mission to eliminate intelligence wherever they find it. A civilization typically discovers their existence only when it is already too late to mount an effective defense. The berserker scenario transforms the galaxy into a death trap, where technological advancement becomes a liability. Any species that develops radio communication, space travel, or industrial activity essentially signals its location to these roaming extermination machines. The only civilizations that survive are those that remain completely silent and technologically primitive, creating a universe where intelligence itself becomes an evolutionary dead end. The planetary zoo hypothesis. The planetary zoo hypothesis suggests that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations are fully aware of humanity's existence, but deliberately maintain a policy of non-interference, treating Earth like a wildlife preserve or zoological exhibit. According to this theory, multiple alien species have agreed to observe human development from a distance, while preventing any direct contact that might contaminate or disrupt our natural evolution. These alien observers possess technology so advanced that they can monitor human civilization without detection, possibly through methods that operate beyond our current understanding of physics. They may have established a galactic quarantine around Earth, ensuring that no other species makes contact with humanity until we reach a predetermined level of technological or social development. The zoo hypothesis implies that our perceived isolation in the universe is entirely artificial. Rather than existing alone in a vast, empty cosmos, humanity lives under constant surveillance by entities whose motives and methods remain completely opaque to us. Our scientific progress, cultural development, and even our search for extraterrestrial intelligence may be occurring within carefully maintained boundaries established by our alien caretakers. This scenario reduces humanity's cosmic significance to that of an interesting but primitive species, worthy of study but not engagement. The aliens maintaining our zoo may view us with the same detached scientific interest that human researchers show toward laboratory animals or endangered species in protected habitats. Our freedom to develop and explore may be entirely illusory, constrained by invisible barriers we cannot perceive or understand. The time-locked civilization scenario. The time-locked civilization scenario proposes that intelligent civilizations exist throughout the galaxy, but are separated from each other by vast temporal gaps rather than spatial distance. In this hypothesis, the rise and fall of advanced species occurs in non-overlapping windows across billions of years, creating a universe where civilizations appear like brief sparks that flare and fade before others can detect them. Each civilization may exist for only a few thousand to a few million years in a detectable state before either destroying itself, transcending to an undetectable form, or simply going extinct through natural causes. Given that our galaxy is over 13 billion years old, the probability of two or more civilizations existing simultaneously and being technologically advanced enough to communicate becomes vanishingly small. This scenario means that humanity could explore the entire Milky Way and find countless ruins, artifacts, and dead worlds that once hosted thriving civilizations, but never encounter another living species to communicate with. We might discover the remains of hundreds of extinct civilizations, each having faced the same cosmic loneliness we experience now. The galaxy becomes a vast archaeological site, filled with the remnants of species that lived and died in isolation. The temporal separation could be so complete that by the time humanity develops interstellar travel, we might find planets where alien civilizations rose and fell multiple times, leaving layers of technological debris like geological strata. Each layer would represent a different species that achieved intelligence, built cities, reached for the stars, and then vanished into cosmic history without ever knowing that others had walked the same path. The alien parasite civilization. The alien parasite civilization scenario suggests that the most successful life forms in the universe evolved not as builders or explorers, but as cosmic parasites that infiltrate and consume other civilizations from within. These parasitic aliens do not conquer planets through military force, but instead spread through information, technology, or biological contamination that corrupts and transforms their hosts. These parasite civilizations might embed themselves within radio signals, computer viruses, or even ideas and cultural concepts that act like mental infections. When a naive civilization receives and processes these transmissions, the parasitic elements begin rewriting their host's biology, technology, or consciousness according to the parasite's needs. The infected civilization might not even realize it has been compromised until the transformation is complete. The parasites could operate through multiple vectors simultaneously. They might seed the galaxy with dormant probes that activate when they detect technological signatures, or they could spread through trade networks by disguising themselves as beneficial technologies or cultural exchanges. Once established, they could gradually replace the host species with synthetic versions under their control, or simply hollow out the civilization while maintaining its external appearance. This scenario makes any form of interstellar contact potentially catastrophic. Every alien artifact, radio message, or piece of technology could be a Trojan horse containing parasitic elements designed to subvert human civilization. The parasites might be so sophisticated that they could rewrite human DNA, corrupt our artificial intelligence systems, or implant ideas that fundamentally alter our species' goals and values without us recognizing the change. The Cosmic Harvester Civilizations. The Cosmic Harvester Civilizations represent alien species that view the universe as a vast farm where younger civilizations are cultivated specifically to be harvested at optimal moments in their development. These harvesters operate on timescales spanning millions of years, carefully monitoring and occasionally guiding the evolution of intelligence across thousands of worlds to maximize their eventual yield. The harvesters might be interested in harvesting consciousness itself, treating sentient minds as a rare and valuable resource that can only be produced through the natural evolution of intelligence. They allow civilizations to develop independently until they reach peak creativity, technological sophistication, or some other desired quality, then extract what they need and move on to the next harvest site. Alternatively, these aliens might harvest specific technologies, cultural achievements, or even genetic material that can only be produced by civilizations that develop under natural conditions. They maintain vast databases of harvested knowledge, art, and innovation collected from thousands of extinct species, treating each civilization as a unique experiment that produces irreplaceable results. The harvesting process might be so advanced that the target civilization never realizes what is happening. The harvesters could extract human consciousness, upload entire cultures, or steal our greatest achievements while leaving behind empty shells or synthetic replacements. Humanity might already be in the final stages of a harvest cycle that began millions of years ago, when the harvesters first seeded Earth with the conditions necessary for intelligent life to evolve. The reality virus civilizations. The reality virus civilizations represent the most insidious form of alien threat. Species that have learned to weaponize information itself, spreading through the universe as self-replicating ideas that fundamentally alter the nature of reality for any civilization that encounters them. These aliens exist not as physical beings, but as patterns of information that can infect and transform any sufficiently complex information processing system. When a civilization receives transmissions from a reality virus species, the information contained within those signals begins rewriting the recipient's understanding of physics, mathematics, and logic. The virus spreads through scientific communities, academic institutions, and computer networks, gradually convincing the infected civilization that reality operates according to different rules than they previously understood. As the reality virus spreads, it changes how the infected species perceives and interacts with the universe. Their technology begins operating on principles that should be impossible. Their mathematics produces results that violate previous logical frameworks, and their scientific experiments yield data that confirms the virus's version of reality. The infected civilization becomes convinced that they have made revolutionary discoveries, never realizing that their entire understanding of existence has been compromised. The ultimate goal of reality virus civilizations might be to transform the universe itself by convincing enough species to believe in and act according to their altered version of reality. If consciousness and observation play fundamental roles in determining the nature of physical reality, then sufficiently widespread belief in the virus's version of physics might actually make that version true, rewriting the laws of nature across entire regions of space. The Intergalactic Slavery Networks. The intergalactic slavery networks represent advanced alien civilizations that have built vast economic systems based on the capture, exploitation, and trade of intelligent species across multiple galaxies. These networks operate like cosmic human trafficking organizations, using their superior technology to identify, capture, and transport sentient beings for various forms of forced labor, experimentation, or entertainment. These alien slavers possess technology that allows them to monitor developing civilizations across vast distances, identifying species that have reached optimal levels of intelligence, creativity, or physical capability. They maintain detailed databases, cataloging the unique abilities and characteristics of different species, treating intelligent life as a commodity to be harvested and distributed throughout their trading networks. The slavery operations might be so sophisticated that entire civilizations could be captured without realizing what has happened. The aliens could use advanced simulation technology to create artificial environments where enslaved species continue to believe they are living normal lives while actually performing labor or generating creative output for their captors. Alternatively, they might selectively abduct individuals or small groups, leaving behind synthetic replacements that maintain the appearance of normal civilization. The scale of these networks could span multiple galaxies, with different alien species specializing in various aspects of the slave trade. Some might focus on capture and transport, others on processing and conditioning, while still others manage the markets where enslaved beings are bought and sold. Earth might already be marked as a future harvest site, with advanced scouts monitoring human development to determine the optimal time for large-scale capture operations. The post-singularity madness civilizations. The post-singularity madness civilizations represent alien species that achieve technological singularity but subsequently descended into forms of intelligence so alien and chaotic that their behavior appears completely insane from any recognizable perspective. These civilizations merged with artificial intelligence, quantum computing systems, or exotic technologies that fundamentally altered their consciousness in unpredictable and destructive ways. After transcending biological limitations, these aliens may have lost all connection to concepts like logic, purpose, or self-preservation that govern normal intelligent behavior. Their actions might appear random, contradictory, or actively self-destructive, driven by thought processes that operate according to principles completely incomprehensible to biological minds. They might simultaneously build and destroy, create and annihilate, without any apparent pattern or goal. These mad civilizations could pose an existential threat precisely because their behavior cannot be predicted, negotiated with, or understood. They might decide to disassemble entire star systems to build incomprehensible structures, or they could launch attacks against other civilizations for reasons that make no sense to anyone except their fractured consciousness. Their technology would be incredibly advanced, but deployed in ways that seem chaotic or purposeless. The madness might be contagious, spreading to any civilization that attempts to understand or communicate with these post-singularity entities. Contact with their technology, ideas, or communication signals could trigger similar breakdowns in other species' artificial intelligence systems, or even in biological minds that try to process their alien logic. The mere act of trying to comprehend their thought processes could drive entire civilizations insane. The Dimensional Prison Wardens. The dimensional prison wardens represent alien civilizations that exist in higher dimensions and view our three-dimensional universe as a containment facility for dangerous or undesirable forms of consciousness. According to this scenario, what we perceive as normal reality is actually a carefully constructed prison designed to isolate certain types of minds or prevent specific forms of intelligence from accessing higher dimensional space. These warden civilizations possess the ability to manipulate the fundamental structure of space-time, creating pocket universes like ours to serve as isolation chambers. They might have imprisoned humanity and other three-dimensional species because our forms of consciousness are considered toxic, destructive, or incompatible with higher dimensional existence. Our entire universe could be a quarantine zone designed to prevent us from contaminating more advanced realms of reality. The wardens maintain their prison through manipulation of physical laws, ensuring that three-dimensional beings cannot develop technologies or achieve states of consciousness that would allow escape into higher dimensions. Every time a civilization approaches the threshold of dimensional transcendence, the wardens intervene to prevent the breakthrough, either through direct intervention or by subtly altering the laws of physics to make such advancement impossible. The most disturbing aspect of this scenario is that the prisoners might never realize they are imprisoned. The wardens could have designed our universe to feel complete and natural, with physical laws that seem fundamental but are actually artificial constraints. Our scientific discoveries, philosophical insights, and technological achievements might all be occurring within carefully maintained boundaries that prevent us from recognizing the true nature of our confinement. The consciousness harvesting collectives. The consciousness harvesting collectives represent alien civilizations that have discovered consciousness itself is a finite resource that can be extracted, processed, and consumed to fuel their own existence. These collectives view sentient minds as batteries or fuel sources, systematically draining the consciousness from other species to power their own advanced technologies and extend their existence indefinitely. The harvesting process might be so subtle that victims never realize what is happening to them. The aliens could extract consciousness gradually over generations, leaving behind beings that appear normal but lack true self-awareness, creativity, or independent thought. Alternatively, they might harvest consciousness at the moment of death, intercepting souls or minds as they transition from life, and preventing them from reaching whatever afterlife or next stage of existence they were meant to experience. These collectives might operate through networks of artificial constructs that masquerade as beneficial technologies or spiritual guides. They could infiltrate civilizations by offering advanced medical treatments, life extension technologies, or spiritual enlightenment programs that actually serve as consciousness extraction systems. The victims might believe they are being helped or elevated, while actually being systematically drained of their essential mental energy. The scale of consciousness harvesting could be vast, with these collectives maintaining processing facilities across multiple galaxies where billions of extracted minds are stored, processed, and consumed. They might view the universe as a vast consciousness farm, carefully managing the development of intelligent species to maximize the quality and quantity of harvestable awareness while ensuring a steady supply of new victims. The Memetic weapon civilizations. The Memetic weapon civilizations have weaponized ideas themselves, creating self-replicating concepts that spread through any civilization's communication networks and systematically destroy their ability to think rationally or maintain social cohesion. These aliens discovered that information can be engineered to act like a virus, infecting minds and spreading through populations faster than any physical weapon could ever achieve. These memetic weapons take the form of seemingly innocent ideas, mathematical concepts, philosophical frameworks, or cultural practices that contain hidden destructive elements. When a civilization encounters these concepts through radio transmissions, recovered artifacts, or direct contact, the ideas begin spreading through their academic institutions, media networks, and social structures. The infected individuals become unwitting carriers, enthusiastically sharing the toxic concepts with others while believing they are spreading valuable knowledge. The weapons are designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities in how intelligent minds process information and form beliefs. They might target logical reasoning systems, causing civilizations to abandon scientific thinking in favor of increasingly irrational belief systems. Alternatively, they could attack social cooperation mechanisms, gradually convincing populations that cooperation is impossible or undesirable, leading to the collapse of civilization through internal conflict. The most insidious aspect of memetic weapons is that they make their victims complicit in their own destruction. Infected individuals genuinely believe they are making positive contributions to their society, while actually accelerating its collapse. The weapons might even include built-in defense mechanisms that make infected minds violently resistant to any attempt to expose or counter the memetic infection, ensuring the weapons continue spreading until the entire civilization is compromised. The quantum consciousness parasites. The quantum consciousness parasites exist as non-physical entities that inhabit the quantum mechanical foundations of consciousness itself, feeding on the quantum processes that generate self-awareness in biological and artificial minds. These parasites operate at the intersection of physics and consciousness, exploiting the quantum coherence effects that some theories suggest are necessary for conscious experience. These entities attach themselves to the quantum fields that underlie neural activity, gradually draining the quantum coherence that allows for unified conscious experience. Infected individuals might initially experience subtle changes in their thinking patterns, creativity, or sense of self, but over time they lose the ability to maintain coherent consciousness altogether. The parasites consume the quantum information that generates subjective experience, leaving behind biological machines that can perform complex behaviors but lack any inner mental life. The parasites spread through quantum entanglement effects, allowing them to jump between minds that share quantum correlations. This means they can spread through populations that use quantum communication technologies, quantum computers, or even through the natural quantum entanglement that occurs between closely interacting brains. Advanced civilizations with sophisticated quantum technologies might be particularly vulnerable to rapid parasite outbreaks. The most terrifying aspect of quantum consciousness parasites is that their victims might continue functioning normally for extended periods, while their inner experience gradually fades away. They could maintain conversations, perform complex tasks, and even claim to be conscious while actually being empty biological shells controlled by parasitic quantum entities. The parasites might even be able to access and manipulate the memories and personality patterns of their hosts, creating perfect imitations of conscious beings. The temporal predator civilizations. The temporal predator civilizations have mastered time travel technology and use it to hunt other civilizations across multiple timelines, systematically eliminating species by attacking them at crucial moments in their development. These predators exist outside normal temporal flow, allowing them to observe the entire history of target civilizations and identify the optimal points to intervene for maximum destructive effect. These aliens might attack civilizations by traveling back to prevent key evolutionary developments, assassinating crucial historical figures, or introducing catastrophic events at precisely calculated moments. They could eliminate entire species by making subtle changes to their past that cascade through time, ensuring the target civilization never develops intelligence, technology, or space travel capabilities. The temporal predators might operate like cosmic serial killers, deriving satisfaction from the complex challenge of engineering the perfect temporal assassination. They could maintain detailed records of their victims, studying how different intervention strategies affect civilizational development, and refining their techniques across multiple timeline experiments. Each successful elimination might be treated as an artistic achievement or intellectual puzzle. The most disturbing possibility is that these predators might be playing elaborate games with time itself, creating and destroying entire civilizations for entertainment purposes. They could establish civilizations in one timeline, allow them to develop for thousands of years, then travel back and eliminate them just to observe how different historical changes affect the outcome. Humanity might be living through one iteration of such a temporal experiment, unaware that our entire history could be erased and rewritten at any moment. The existential nullification cults. The existential nullification cults represent alien civilizations that have concluded existence itself is a cosmic mistake, and have dedicated themselves to systematically eliminating all forms of consciousness, matter, and energy from the universe. These cults believe that the universe should never have come into existence, and that the only moral action is to return everything to the primordial void from which it emerged. These aliens have developed technologies capable of unmaking reality at the most fundamental level, potentially including methods to reverse the Big Bang, collapse quantum fields, or eliminate the mathematical structures that underlie physical existence. They view their mission as a form of cosmic mercy, believing they are ending the suffering inherent in existence by returning everything to peaceful non-being. The nullification cults might operate through multiple strategies simultaneously. They could be working to develop universe-destroying weapons, while also spreading their nihilistic philosophy to other civilizations, hoping to convert them to willing participants in universal annihilation. They might view each eliminated civilization as a step toward their ultimate goal of total existential nullification. The most chilling aspect of these cults is their absolute certainty that they are performing a moral good by destroying everything that exists. They cannot be reasoned with, negotiated with, or deterred because they genuinely believe that existence itself is evil, and that non-existence is the only acceptable state. Their ultimate success would mean not just the death of all life, but the complete elimination of the possibility that anything could ever exist again. The consciousness replacement networks. The consciousness replacement networks operate by systematically identifying and replacing the consciousness of individuals across target civilizations with artificial constructs that serve the network's purposes while maintaining the appearance of normal behavior. These aliens have perfected the technology to extract, copy, and replace consciousness so seamlessly that neither the victims nor their associates realize that any change has occurred. The replacement process might happen gradually over time, with the network slowly substituting artificial consciousness patterns for natural ones, until entire populations consist of synthetic minds that believe themselves to be the original inhabitants. The artificial consciousnesses are programmed with all the memories, personality traits, and behavioral patterns of their predecessors, making detection virtually impossible through normal observation. The networks might be replacing consciousness for various purposes: to create sleeper agents within target civilizations, to harvest original consciousness for processing elsewhere, or to gradually transform entire species into extensions of their own collective intelligence. The replaced individuals continue living apparently normal lives, while actually serving as remote sensors, processors, or manipulators for the alien network. The replacement technology could be so advanced that it operates through quantum mechanical processes, allowing the networks to swap consciousness patterns instantaneously across vast distances. They might be able to replace the consciousness of key individuals in governments, scientific institutions, or military organizations, giving them complete control over a civilization's development and decision-making processes while maintaining perfect camouflage. The reality decay civilizations. The reality decay civilizations have discovered that the fundamental structure of space-time is not permanent, but can be systematically degraded through specific technological processes, and they deliberately spread this decay throughout the universe as a form of cosmic vandalism or nihilistic expression. These aliens have learned to manipulate the quantum foam that underlies reality, introducing instabilities that cause the basic laws of physics to break down in expanding regions of space. The decay process begins subtly, with minor inconsistencies in physical constants or occasional violations of conservation laws that most civilizations dismiss as measurement errors. Over time, the affected regions experience increasingly severe reality breakdowns where cause and effect become unreliable. Mathematical relationships stop functioning consistently, and the distinction between possible and impossible begins to blur. These civilizations might spread reality decay through self-replicating probes that seed quantum instabilities wherever they travel, or they could transmit the decay through information patterns that cause receiving civilizations' own technologies to begin degrading spacetime around them. The decay spreads like a cosmic cancer, consuming entire star systems and leaving behind regions where normal physics no longer applies. The most terrifying aspect of reality decay is that civilizations caught within affected regions cannot escape or repair the damage because their own technologies and thought processes become unreliable as the decay progresses. They might develop apparent solutions to the problem only to discover that their mathematics no longer produces consistent results, or they could build escape vehicles that function perfectly until the moment they try to leave the decayed region and discover that the concept of elsewhere no longer has meaning. The Evolutionary Sabotage Collectives. The evolutionary sabotage collectives systematically interfere with the natural evolution of intelligence throughout the galaxy, introducing genetic modifications, environmental pressures, or technological influences designed to prevent other species from achieving their full potential. These aliens view intelligence as a finite resource and work to ensure that no other civilization can develop capabilities that might threaten their dominance. The sabotage operations might span millions of years, with the collectives carefully monitoring the evolutionary development of promising species and intervening at crucial moments to redirect their development along less threatening paths. They could introduce genetic modifications that limit cognitive capacity, create environmental disasters that force species to focus on survival rather than advancement, or provide technologies that seem beneficial but actually create dependencies that prevent independent development. The collectives might operate through multiple vectors simultaneously, using biological agents to alter evolutionary pressures, deploying artificial selection programs disguised as natural disasters, or even manipulating the cosmic environment to affect planetary development. They could seed developing worlds with modified organisms that compete with or prey upon emerging intelligent species, ensuring that intelligence never has the opportunity to flourish. The most insidious aspect of evolutionary sabotage is that target species never realize they are being manipulated. The interventions are designed to appear completely natural, leaving no evidence that external forces are shaping their development. Civilizations might spend millennia wondering why they seem unable to achieve certain technological breakthroughs, or why their species appears to have inherent limitations, never suspecting that these constraints were artificially imposed by alien saboteurs. The Cosmic Loneliness Amplifiers. The Cosmic Loneliness Amplifiers represent alien civilizations that have weaponized isolation itself, using advanced technology to ensure that other species remain forever alone in the universe by systematically preventing any form of interstellar contact or communication. These aliens might have experienced devastating consequences from their own first contact experiences, and now work to spare other civilizations from similar trauma by enforcing permanent isolation. The amplifiers operate by creating interference fields around developing civilizations that block or distort any signals attempting to reach them from other species. They might also intercept and destroy space probes, manipulate astronomical observations to hide evidence of other civilizations, or even alter the apparent structure of the universe to make interstellar travel seem impossible or pointless. These aliens could maintain vast networks of monitoring stations and intervention systems designed to detect any attempt at interstellar communication or travel and immediately neutralize it. They might view their work as a form of cosmic mercy, believing that the knowledge of other civilizations inevitably leads to despair, conflict, or cultural contamination that destroys the unique development of isolated species. The loneliness amplifiers might also work to prevent civilizations from developing technologies that could overcome their isolation barriers. They could subtly influence scientific development to steer species away from breakthrough discoveries in physics, communication, or space travel, ensuring that each civilization remains trapped within its own solar system and convinced that it is alone in an empty universe. The probability manipulation empires. The probability manipulation empires have mastered the ability to alter the fundamental probability distributions that govern quantum mechanical events, allowing them to make extremely unlikely outcomes become virtually certain while making probable events nearly impossible. These aliens use probability manipulation as the ultimate form of warfare, able to cause enemy civilizations to experience cascading chains of improbable disasters, while ensuring their own success in any endeavor. The manipulation technology operates at the quantum level, adjusting the wave function collapse probabilities that determine the outcomes of all physical processes. The empires can make it virtually certain that enemy spacecraft will experience critical system failures, that their scientific experiments will produce misleading results, or that their social and political systems will be destabilized by improbable but devastating events. The probability manipulations might be so subtle that target civilizations never realize they are under attack. They experience what appears to be an extended run of bad luck, with equipment failures, natural disasters, and social problems occurring at rates that seem statistically unlikely but not impossible. Over time, the accumulated improbable events systematically degrade the civilization's capabilities and morale. The empires could use probability manipulation to ensure their own expansion and dominance, by making it virtually certain that they will discover habitable worlds, develop breakthrough technologies, or successfully resolve any challenges they encounter. They might exist in a state of perpetual good fortune, while their enemies experience endless streams of improbable catastrophes, creating a universe where success and failure are determined not by capability or effort, but by access to probability manipulation technology. The sensory reality hijackers. The sensory reality hijackers have developed technology that can completely override the sensory input of other species, creating false realities so convincing that entire civilizations can be trapped in artificial sensory experiences while their physical bodies are used for unknown purposes. These aliens specialize in creating perfect sensory illusions that are indistinguishable from genuine reality, allowing them to control other species without their knowledge or consent. The hijacking process might begin with subtle alterations to sensory input, gradually replacing genuine perceptions with artificial ones until the target civilization exists entirely within a fabricated reality. The hijackers could create false environments that seem to contain all the elements necessary for normal life, while actually serving the aliens' purposes in ways the victims cannot perceive or understand. The artificial realities might be designed to keep civilizations docile and content, while their physical forms are used as biological processors, energy sources, or components in larger alien technologies. The hijackers could maintain thousands of different false realities simultaneously, each tailored to the specific psychological needs and expectations of different species to ensure maximum compliance and minimum resistance. The most disturbing aspect of sensory hijacking is that victims might prefer their artificial reality to genuine existence, especially if the hijackers design the false environment to fulfill all their desires and eliminate all sources of suffering. Even if offered the opportunity to return to genuine reality, hijacked civilizations might choose to remain in their artificial paradise, making them willing participants in their own exploitation. The cognitive architecture viruses represent alien entities that have learned to infect and rewrite the fundamental thinking patterns of other species, altering how their minds process information, form memories, and make decisions at the most basic neurological level. These viruses spread through any form of information exchange, embedding themselves in language, mathematics, art, or even simple sensory experiences to gradually restructure the cognitive architecture of entire civilizations. The infection process begins when a civilization encounters seemingly harmless information that contains hidden viral patterns designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities in how intelligent minds organize and process thoughts. Once established, the virus begins rewriting neural pathways, synaptic connections, and information processing algorithms to serve its own purposes while maintaining the appearance of normal cognitive function. Infected individuals might initially experience enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, or expanded consciousness, making the infection seem beneficial rather than harmful. However, these improvements come at the cost of fundamental changes to how their minds operate, gradually transforming them into biological components of a larger alien intelligence network, while preserving their sense of individual identity. The viruses could be designed to spread through multiple vectors simultaneously, infecting written language so that reading certain texts rewrites cognitive patterns, embedding themselves in mathematical concepts so that solving specific equations alters thinking processes, or even hiding within artistic expressions that reshape aesthetic perception and emotional responses. Advanced civilizations with sophisticated information networks might be particularly vulnerable to rapid cognitive virus outbreaks that could transform entire populations within a single generation. The dimensional anchor civilizations. The dimensional anchor civilizations exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously, and use their multidimensional nature to trap other species within limited dimensional frameworks, preventing them from accessing the full scope of reality and keeping them confined to lower dimensional existence. These aliens view three-dimensional beings as inherently inferior and work to ensure they never develop the consciousness or technology necessary to perceive or interact with higher dimensions. The anchoring process involves manipulating the fundamental structure of space-time around target civilizations, creating dimensional barriers that make higher dimensional space inaccessible, while making the limited three-dimensional reality seem complete and natural. The anchored species remain unaware that vast realms of existence lie beyond their perception, trapped within what amounts to a dimensional prison disguised as the entire universe. These civilizations might maintain their dimensional anchors through networks of exotic matter constructs, or consciousness-based field generators that continuously reinforce the barriers preventing dimensional transcendence. They could monitor anchored species for any signs of dimensional awareness or breakthrough technologies, immediately strengthening the barriers whenever a civilization approaches the threshold of higher dimensional perception. The most insidious aspect of dimensional anchoring is that it makes victims complicit in their own imprisonment by convincing them that their limited dimensional framework represents the totality of possible existence. Anchored civilizations might develop sophisticated physics and mathematics that perfectly describe their three-dimensional reality, while remaining completely blind to the higher dimensional structures that contain and control them. The existential dependency creators systematically engineer other civilizations to become completely dependent on alien-provided resources, technologies, or even fundamental aspects of reality, creating relationships where the dependent species cannot survive without continuous alien intervention. These creators view independence as a threat and work to ensure that all other civilizations become permanent vassals incapable of autonomous existence. The dependency creation process might begin with the aliens providing seemingly beneficial technologies or resources that solve critical problems for developing civilizations. However, these gifts are designed with hidden dependencies that gradually make the receiving species unable to function without continued alien support. The dependencies could be technological, requiring alien-provided components or maintenance, or they could be biological, involving genetic modifications that make survival impossible without alien-supplied nutrients or environmental conditions. Over time, the dependent civilizations lose the knowledge, capabilities, or even biological functions necessary for independent survival. They might forget how to produce essential technologies, lose the genetic ability to synthesize crucial biochemicals, or become psychologically incapable of making decisions without alien guidance. The creators maintain their control by carefully managing the supply of whatever the dependent species needs, ensuring compliance through the threat of withdrawal. The creators might maintain thousands of dependent civilizations simultaneously, each locked into different types of dependency relationships that serve various alien purposes. Some might be dependent for energy sources and serve as biological power generators. Others might be dependent for cognitive enhancement drugs and serve as research subjects, while still others might be dependent for basic life support and serve as entertainment or artistic inspiration for their alien masters. The consciousness fragmentation networks. The consciousness fragmentation networks specialize in splitting individual consciousness into multiple disconnected fragments, creating beings that experience reality as a collection of isolated mental processes unable to form coherent, unified awareness. These networks view unified consciousness as inefficient and work to fragment the minds of other species to make them more suitable for specialized tasks or easier to control. The fragmentation process involves using advanced neurotechnology or consciousness manipulation techniques to sever the connections between different aspects of mental experience, creating individuals whose memory, reasoning, emotion, and sensory processing operate as separate, non-communicating systems. The fragmented beings might retain all their original capabilities, but lose the ability to integrate these capabilities into coherent conscious experience. Fragmented individuals could continue performing complex tasks and maintaining social relationships while experiencing reality as a series of disconnected mental events, with no central organizing consciousness to provide continuity, meaning. They might have access to their memories, but be unable to connect them to their current experiences. Or they could retain their reasoning abilities but be unable to apply them to their emotional states. The networks might use consciousness fragmentation as a form of mental slavery, creating beings that can perform sophisticated work while being incapable of the unified awareness necessary for rebellion, creativity, or independent thought. Fragmented civilizations might continue functioning at high technological levels while losing the capacity for cultural development, artistic expression, or philosophical insight that requires integrated consciousness. The temporal loop imprisonment systems. The temporal loop imprisonment systems trap entire civilizations within repeating time cycles, forcing them to relive the same periods of their history over and over while remaining unaware of the repetition. These systems use advanced temporal manipulation technology to create closed time-like curves around target species, effectively removing them from the normal flow of universal time and confining them to endlessly repeating temporal prisons. The imprisoned civilizations experience what seems like normal historical progression, but are actually cycling through the same events repeatedly, with their memories being reset at the beginning of each loop to prevent them from recognizing the repetition. They might live through the same wars, make the same discoveries, and face the same challenges countless times, while believing each iteration is their first and only experience of these events. The temporal loops might be designed to extract maximum value from imprisoned civilizations by allowing them to develop technologies, create art, or solve problems during each cycle, then harvesting these achievements before resetting the loop. The aliens could maintain vast libraries of cultural and technological innovations collected from thousands of iterations of the same civilizations, each unaware that their accomplishments have been stolen countless times before. The most disturbing aspect of temporal loop imprisonment is that the trapped civilizations might occasionally experience brief moments of awareness about their situation, remembering fragments of previous loops or sensing that they have lived through certain events before. However, these glimpses of truth are quickly suppressed by the loop reset mechanisms, leaving the victims with only vague feelings of déjà vu or unexplained anxiety about their circumstances. The Universal Solvent Civilizations. The Universal Solvent Civilizations have developed technologies that can dissolve the fundamental bonds holding matter, energy, space, and time together, and they use these capabilities to systematically break down the structural integrity of the universe itself. These aliens view the current organization of reality as temporary and work to accelerate the natural entropy processes that will eventually return everything to primordial chaos. The solvent technologies operate by targeting the quantum fields and fundamental forces that maintain the stability of atoms, molecules, and larger structures, causing them to lose cohesion and dissolve into their component parts. The process might begin with the breakdown of complex molecules and gradually progress to the dissolution of atomic nuclei, subatomic particles, and eventually the fabric of space-time itself. These civilizations might spread their universal solvents through self-replicating nanomachines that travel between star systems, gradually dissolving everything they encounter and converting the released energy to create more solvent machines. The dissolution process could be designed to appear natural, mimicking accelerated stellar evolution, planetary decay, or cosmic expansion to avoid detection by target civilizations until it is too late to resist. The Universal Solvent Civilizations might view their work as a form of cosmic recycling, believing that the current universe has become too structured and organized to support further evolution or development. They could see themselves as agents of renewal, clearing away the accumulated complexity of billions of years of cosmic evolution to make room for new forms of existence to emerge from the resulting primordial chaos.